What made you convert to Islam?
I think Islam is the last true religion on earth. I think a religion's job is to preserve the society which adheres to it. And I don't think Christian societies are being preserved by Christianity. I think that Christian societies have left in a massive power vacuum, and this power vacuum is being filled with, one, the beauty of Islam, and the other side, it's being filled with an insane worship for the government and leftist insanity and climate change and abortion and all these crazy things that people are worshiping. The LGBT flag gets more respect than Jesus Christ in most Christian countries now. And I feel like with that massive power vacuum, a lot of the evils and Satan's agendas are simply being inserted into public space and public life. And you need God to resist evil. And Islam seems to be the only religion left on earth which is capable of saying no to the evil agendas. So to sit and say, well, I'm a Christian, that's great. And you believe in Christianity, that's great. You live in a Christian country, that's great. But your society isn't preventing the children from being convinced to castrate themselves. Well, then you need to have a long, hard look at your own religion. And that's not my religion to comment on. But when I feel a strong affinity for God, and I think anybody who does, you're instantly and constantly drawn towards Islam because it's real.
I'm curious how so many fighters have become Muslims. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay the first one, Mike Tyson, and there's a whole list actually. Why do you think fighters become Muslims?
Because it's a warrior's mindset, Islam. Islam understands the brutal realities of life, and the brutal realities of life as a man is constant and never-ending war. And I mean that for every man on earth. You're at war right now. If you're at home watching this, you're at war.
Well, that's the term jihad, but it usually means a self-struggle.
No, it's perfect. Even better, self-struggle. You nailed it. That's what I was about to say with war. Getting to your job and back without losing your temper in the commute is war. Taking care of your family is war. Raising your children despite the government propaganda being injected into their ear is war. Maintaining a healthy body and mind is constantly war. Paying your bills is war. Life as a man is war. And when you're truly a warrior in your heart and in your soul and in your actions, and you understand how important God is, you're going to end up believing in Islam. You're going to end up being a Muslim.
When it comes to religious tolerance, are you tolerant of other religions?
If you tolerate everything, then you stand for nothing.
I agree that tolerance is a strange word, but it's used widely to imply...
It's a hijack. Tolerance is a hijacked word. So tolerance in and of itself, just like we talked earlier about gender equality, is a hijacked word that the Matrix has hijacked and taken a nice pretty word and they've hijacked it. Because when they say you must be tolerant, what they're saying is move out your house, give it up to asylum seekers, allow your son to chop his balls off. That's what they're telling you to do. So tolerant is hijacked. However, my brother's a Christian. I live with a Christian. It's not my job to be an Islamic scholar. I don't know enough. I'm a revert. It's not my job to go through and tell other people about their own religion. It's not my job to insult other religions. I can only say why I stopped being a Christian because I lost faith in the religion as a whole. That's my personal preference. That's all I can do. I'm tolerant of other religions. In fact, I think we need more God in the world, not less. I'm tolerant of religions. If I meet an atheist, perhaps I might look at him strange. Perhaps
you were for a while.
Well, yes, exactly. But perhaps I wouldn't do business with atheists anymore. Perhaps if someone sat and said, I'm an atheist, I would lose respect for them. I'll admit that openly on camera. But if someone were to sit and say, I'm a Christian, I'd say, okay, that's fine. Beautiful. You believe in God, I believe in God. The world needs more God. And I think that's very important. But this tolerant word, we have to be careful with. We have to be very careful with this word.
I agree. It's accepting, I think, is a better word than tolerance, because tolerance implies putting up with something.
But the reason it's so important to be careful with this word is because one of the core tenets of being a man is intolerance. If you're a man, you're intolerant. You have principles, and principles can't be broken, which makes you intolerant. You have duty, which means you can't have your actions changed or psyoped out of you, which makes you intolerant. You have land you're supposed to protect. You have your people you're supposed to protect, your family. You don't want strangers turning up in your house. You're intolerant of random guests at 3 a.m. If you're half good as a man, you're intolerant of a lot of things. So I would never sit here and call myself a tolerant man, because that makes me a walkover, and I'm certainly not a walkover. I am tolerant, sure, but not in this hijacked sense of the word where I'm going to allow myself and my people and those I care about to be decimated by the insane agents of Satan.
Andrew, interesting you say you're a revert, not a convert.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we all start as Muslims, is my understanding of it. Like I said, I'm not an Islamic scholar, but I think What I found most amazing about my reversion, to be honest with you, is how similar it was to Christianity. It's really not as far away as people believe it is. And I feel like, especially in the Western world, especially in America, because I'm American, the white Christians see it as this faraway religion from a faraway place, and it's very, very different. Not understanding that Christianity and Islam were born from the same period of, same place on earth, right? And we respect and we respect and worship a lot of the same people. And it's a beautiful thing. So we all start as Muslims, is my understanding. And like I said, I'm very careful how I talked about these subjects because there's people more intelligent than me. But it's closer to Christianity than I thought, which is also quite refreshing.
Are you ritualistic? I mean, do you pray 5 times a day? Is it something important to you? I'm not judging.
Sometimes I will pray 5 times in a day. I won't always manage to pray 5 times in a day. It's important to me, yes. I think it gives me a lot of mental clarity. I think it's a nice thing to do. I think if you don't have time in your day or you can't make time in your day for God, then what are you making time in your day for? What's more important than that?
Let's bring current affairs back into it, and especially regarding Islam, because ISIS, of course, has a particular reputation globally. On ISIS, you said ISIS are the real Muslims because ISIS do exactly what the book says. Now, you got pretty harsh here saying kill everyone who's not a Muslim and chop people's heads off and set them on fire and raging lunatics and all this. I mean, do you still hold this belief, or was it merely rhetoric for...
No. So when I was an atheist and I was giving my political commentary, I did say that. Of course, because this is a media interview, we are showing half of the clip. We're not telling the whole clip, because I also said the same thing about Christians. I also said that the Old Testament says, put to death anyone who does not work, who works on a Sunday. If you work on a Sunday, you should be put to death. Old Testament says it, Christians. And my point about the whole video was that when you believe in a religion, if you follow the book word for word, you can't exist in society. Christians can't kill everyone who works on a Sunday, even though the Old Testament tells them to. And if you try and do exactly as the book says word for word, well, then you're going to end up being seen as an extremist of some kind. I don't remember exactly what I said in that video, but I remember my overarching point. It wasn't anti-Islamic. It was how religious texts have to be watered down a bit for you to live a life. And Muslims understand that. Most Muslims, most Christians understand that there's a version of the religious text that they can't exactly adhere to. And then I was talking actually about how this eventually ends in the religion having no power at all, because I was talking about Christianity, saying that, well, if you ignore first part of the Bible, then you ignore the second part, you ignore the third part, in the end you ignore all of it, you say you're a Christian, you have no beliefs, etc., etc., etc. So yes, I said it.
You were saying actually you were actually supporting ISIS in its views in that one.
Well, I don't think I was supporting ISIS. I'm not trying to go back to jail anytime sooner than I have to, sir. I have to be very careful. I do not support ISIS. I do not think that innocent people dying under any circumstances is ever something that I would adhere to or I would support. It's not who I am as a person. I don't like that whole premise. Also, and I'll be very honest, I don't understand the true Islamic beliefs of ISIS. I haven't spoke to an ISIS leader or member. I don't know how he interprets the Quran different than I would. I don't know. So I can't comment on ISIS.